What is going on YouTube? Trip6 here. Today's video is going to be about my experience meeting the man, the myth, the legend himself, James Hetfield, at an airport. So a little background to the story. I was in the military, and a group of us from my home base in Montana went to El Paso, Texas to train at Fort Bliss for 2 weeks. And during that 2 weeks, it was only focused on training. There was no drinking or anything like that in our off time. After those 2 weeks were over with, we flew back to our home base, but had a 4-hour layover in Denver International Airport. So when we got off the airplane in Denver, a lot of people that we were training with went and did their own thing. But 2 people I served with, Cobb Stevens and myself, we all decided to go and bar hop. Just because, why not? So we go to this one bar called the Aviators Club, and I'm not sure if it's called something different now. I'm not even sure if it's still there, but when we went, it was there, and that's what it was called. And so when we went into this bar, there was one person there aside from the bartender, and that was this kind of older man with a cowboy hat on and a handlebar mustache, and he was covered in tattoos. My first thought was, wow, look at this guy. He must be like a biker or something. And then we sat down at the end of the bar, but before we got our drinks, I couldn't help but notice that this man looked very familiar, and then it hit me. So I turned to Cobb and Stevens, who are both also very avid metalheads, and then bring this up. And we all kind of come to the conclusion after discussing it for a little bit that what are the odds of us running into James Hetfield at Denver International Airport during a layover to Montana? It's not very high. But that is when the bartender went over to this man and gave him iced water. And if you guys don't know about James Hetfield's sobriety, he's been sober for a very long time, so that also gave us a clue. So I couldn't take this consideration anymore, so I pulled out my phone and I googled James Hetfield and looked at all his tattoos and matched them with each one the man had, and they all matched up perfectly. His facial features matched up. So as we were sitting there just like taking in that moment of being next to him, we were wondering, should we go up and say something, like, because we're all fans? But then we decided that we shouldn't go over to him because that would be kind of a crappy thing to do. He's a human being, you know, maybe he doesn't want all this attention. He's certainly not dressed like he wants the attention, so let's just leave him alone. And that is when we had a couple drinks and our minds completely changed. So before we ended up getting the courage to go over there, James Hetfield left, and about 2 minutes afterward, we decided to go try to find him. So we paid for the drinks and we walked out in the main area of the airport, went down the stairs, and we were just frantically looking for him. 3 tipsy guys just wondering where this guy went. And so we ended up splitting up for a small second at the base of the stairs, and Stevens noticed the cowboy hat he was wearing in the bar. So we found our man. So we went and caught up with him, and while we were still behind him, I decided to say, "James Hetfield?" And he turns around with a huge smile on his face, and he goes, "Yeah." All of us are just blown away because we knew that was him, but just hearing him interact with us, that added to the experience. So I just launched into how much of an inspiration he's been to me and all this other stuff, and he's so cool. He thanks us for it, and he starts asking questions about ourselves, and I tell him, you know, we're in the military, and you know, we just got done with some training, and he thanked us for our service, which was really nice of him. Then he started talking about how he loves Colorado, how he lives there now, how he likes to hunt, where he was going. He was going to Hawaii at the time for vacation with his family. Really down-to-earth guy. So this went on for about 5 to 10 minutes where we were just talking to each other, and I just still couldn't believe this was even happening. So I decided to ask for a photo with him before we left. And it turns out he doesn't like fans asking him for photos, which I didn't know about this. There are plenty of videos on YouTube of interviews with him saying he doesn't like that at all, and I didn't know that, so my bad, James, if you're watching this. But he looked at us and he said, "I don't normally do photos, but for you guys, absolutely." So he took this photo with us. Here it is. So something about him is that he likes meeting fans. He just doesn't like the whole adoration, taking photos, all that. He likes to have two-way conversations. He said that in multiple interviews that I checked out after this experience happened. So he's a very cool, very down-to-earth guy, but don't ask him for a photo because he doesn't really like that. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like what you saw, please hit subscribe down below and comment what you would like to see me cover in the future. See you in my next video.